What's up? It's your girl, Rosa Nice, and I'm back in the studio for another episode. And my guest co-host for today's episode is Jalen.
Hello. Back again.
I know. Welcome back to the Rosa Nice Show podcast.
Good to be back. Thank you.
Yes, welcome. So, I have to have like a male perspective on this particular topic. Like, everybody's talking about it. Mm-hmm. And if you are living in today's time for the last week, you know what's been going on. The whole Rkelly, Surviving Rkelly, 6-part episode.
Well, in reality, if you've been living for the past, 20 years, you should
right.
know what's going on for real.
Right. And it's like crazy. 2 million people tuned in to watch the premieres of each of the 6 episodes of the new docu-series that explores the abuse allegations against Chicago R&B superstar Rkelly. And this is according to Nielsen numbers. Mm. And this was released this past Tuesday. I'm like, wow, like a lot of people watched. This was like Lifetime broke records with this. Mm. So I'm assuming you watched, right?
I watched it, but I had to catch it later. I didn't watch it while it was actually on TV.
Neither did I.
Okay. So because we count add 2 to that Nielsen record. Add 2.
Right. to 2 million and 2. But, so probably like that means that a lot more people probably tuned in to, bootleg websites and stuff like that. Because, nobody really, not that many people have cable nowadays because everybody use like the internet and stuff to watch, TV or whatever. Hey, what's up, everybody? And anyways, so I'm just going to go straight into it. Okay. What overall, not like without going into details, because we'll go back into details and stuff. Mm-hmm. Overall, like, what was your opinion of the docuseries?
I think it was good. I think it was long overdue.
Okay.
I think it's something that should have been addressed a long time ago, but I don't want to go too deep into it.
No, but I mean, no, go ahead. Just like.
Well, no, I think overall, I think it was a good documentary. It was there's some things that could have been executed a little bit better, but overall, the message, it was long overdue with this artist, in my opinion. Okay. Would you agree? I mean,
long overdue in terms of like the stuff surfacing, coming to a head, or long overdue just in terms of like us just talking about it?
Long overdue in the sense of of us actually addressing that there is an issue. I mean, for me personally, like I remember growing up with the little rumors about Rkelly, but it was all made so like lightly. It wasn't taken serious. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's like we're in a space where a lot of people are being called out for their behavior.
Right.
So now it's actually being addressed.
Right.
That's what I mean when I say long overdue.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I think so too. Let's see if we can get this in here. Okay, let's see.
Get my shoulder. Get the shoulder. I'm giving everybody shoulder right now.
I don't know. Okay. Maybe I'll do it this way. Yeah. Can we twist? Is it going to change? Oh, there it is, Dub. My hand's in the way. I'm just twisting it around so we can see both of us. Okay. Kind of, sort of.
They're going to have to turn their phone too now.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Okay.
So we'll just leave it like that. Okay, so anyway, I agree with that because, like, I mean, not that I wouldn't say that I didn't care about hearing like the stories about the women that were getting abused, that were in the sex cult and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad to kind of hear their stories and their voices in like kind of like a cohesive like story, and to kind of like talk about like, how it started and how like he progressed into what it is now.
Exactly.
So it kind of like to make it not necessarily make it make sense, but just kind of like to give a chronologically. Yeah. Like
they did a really well job at that. They did a good job at that. Of like showing from the beginning up until like exactly where we're at now. Mm-hmm. They executed that really well, and being able to have like you said, like being able to have different people all kind of solidify the same story. They all kind of had the same, which is something I don't really agree. I don't know about you, but I don't really agree. That's the thing that frustrated me with the documentary.
Okay, that you didn't agree with.
Like, everybody is like, oh, I knew. Like, his manager was like, oh, this was going on. Yeah, and I helped sign off on the paperwork for this. And, like, everybody is just kind of like, oh.
my God.
And
I know, me too. I was so angry. I was like, I agree with you. Because I was sitting there, like, watching it, listening to him say, like, they knew what was happening, but they didn't say anything. Everybody was, like, driven by, like, money. And not even thinking about, like, the moral, like, their moral compass. It was like all that went out the window. Like what he was doing, like abusing like children and having sex with like young girls, like all that like went out the window just because like he turned a blind eye because he was getting paid by him.
Well, it's a bigger story to unpack then. So like with it goes on in the community every day though. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have money, you have power, and you're employing all of these people. Like at what point in time do people keep their mouth shut, or when do you speak up, really?
Yeah, and that's kind of like where I kind of want to go with this like conversation is that this whole R. Kelly situation does bring up so many issues within the Black community. And it like opens up like different conversations that we need to have. Like it's like, you know, it's a sad story, but it's a good thing that it's happening. It's getting people talking about like, you know, how they can relate to the situation, whether it be, you know, going through being a young girl dating like an older guy, or being like a young boy going through some sexual abuse, you know, and when he was little, or just whatever the conversation is. It's just that we're talking about things that are so taboo within our community.
Exactly.
That, you know, that's the takeaway for me with my opinion of the whole like docu-series is that, you know, I appreciated it, but it did make me angry because like I said, I feel like some of the parents was a little ignorant, and I feel like they didn't do enough to protect their children. And I think a lot of the things they were doing was like money driven.
Yeah.
And they just like kind of put their kids in like harm's way because they thought it was a good opportunity for them, that they might become successful. And
that's an issue. You know what I'm saying? Like not to victim shame and not to take the focus off of R. Kelly, because what he did was fuck. I don't know if that's it. Fuck. Yeah. What he did was fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. You know absolutely. Like, 100%.
Yeah, and he's a monster, but it's like at the same time, not even but. Additional to that, like, are we willing, like, do we have an issue of turning a blind eye to things when we know somebody is based off of material, they look and they appear successful? You're allowing your child to be around somebody who is financially successful, they have a career, they're a celebrity.
Right.
And because it's R. Kelly, you're okay with them flying out. Like that part where I don't remember which person it was, which woman it was, but she's like, oh yeah, I flew out, I was flying to Chicago, and my mom knew I was flying to Chicago, and it eventually turned into me just being there with him. And I'm like,
right, that's crazy.
If that was not R. Kelly and it was another random guy, and you telling your mother, I'm gonna fly over to see this guy, any mother is going to be like, no. But because it's art...
Right. Yeah. They're like, I'm going to go with you. You need a chaperone.
Oh, you're not going, period. Like, no, you're not going to see this guy who's going to fly you over here.
Like a grown man. Like, you can't just go nowhere with just no random grown man.
Are we giving passes because...
He's R. Kelly. I mean, you know, I think that they did. I mean, even the parents did say that, you know, I think I forgot the girl's name. I think it was like the two parents towards the end of the series on the 6th episode, and the girl is still like, you know, involved with R. Kelly, and they were saying that because he was acquitted of those charges back in 2008. I don't know if you guys know, but like back in 2008, R. Kelly was accused of
That's when he went to trial, right?
Right, when he went to trial.
He was acquitted of all the charges.
Right, yeah. He was acquitted of all the... excuse me, I can't even talk. He was acquitted of all the charges. And, yeah, so it's like... And, yeah, because what it was is that he was acquitted of the charges of child pornography. So... They said that they didn't because he was acquitted, they felt like they can trust him. They said, okay, maybe the girls was lying.
But see, here's the issue I have with that. In the black community, right? Mm-hmm. So, to an extent, we don't trust the law, right?
True that.
To an extent, we do not trust the law.
We don't trust the law.
But then at the same time, if it's convenient, if it becomes beneficial... If it seems convenient, it's at what point in time, where's the switch for that? Where's the switch? You know what I'm saying? So 1 minute we're not trusting, and now the next minute we're well, he got acquitted, and he got money, he got paid, and I can be around him, and I have the resources. We don't think that the system is corrupt. We can say the system is corrupt, but then if it's beneficial, do you get what I'm trying? Do you get where I'm trying to go?
I think what you're saying is that if we feel like if we need something or we're gonna benefit from the situation, we will support it.
Not even, and I hate to say we because it's not like that's all of us, but
some people,
some of us what was that the mindset? We know that the system is corrupt, but then at the same time, in this case, you're oh well, he was acquitted, so he must not have done the things that he's done. And we know that wealth can buy you out of trouble. We know that.
True that.
To an extent.
Right. And that's what made me pissed off because I'm look, I know for a fact that the parents was thinking that their child was probably a money ticket, which I'm sorry to say, I don't, no offense, but it's just real talk.
It's
on the Roast on These podcast show, we talk real talk. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I really feel like the parents... was thinking okay, they're seeing dollar signs with their daughter. They're seeing, Rkelly is a mega producer, a mega artist, so much success in this music industry. So they're thinking oh, of course I'm going to allow my daughter to, be mentored by this person and get so much opportunity. And, I trust my daughter. So my daughter is not saying, anything. So.
But at what point in time do you put aside your parenting for success? Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't have kids, but if I had a child, 16 years old, I don't care who it is. My child is not flying out without me to come and see somebody who's successful. No, I'm gonna be right there with you. If this is really a come up and we really believe that they have talent, why can't I come?
Exactly. I don't understand either. I don't understand.
But if the motive behind it is a little different, of course you're gonna fly my child out. I'm not gonna know what's going on, and it's what I don't know. That just frustrated me. That whole entire...
Yeah, because, and that's the thing that I've been hearing across the board through social media, and you're not the only one, I'm not the only one, that we were just... Everybody kind of had, a sense of, after watching it, whoa. Yeah, the parents, y'all really was not doing on your job as parents. You guys were not on your job as parents. Point blank period. That's just how I feel about the situation. I don't care what they say, but they weren't protecting their daughter.
Because truth is, it's fucked up people out in the world. It's fucked up people who got money. It's fucked up people who don't have money. But as a parent, it's my job to protect my child from that.
Right. To me, the red flag would have been when their daughter, because there was a point where their daughter had went to go, I guess be mentored by Rkelly, and then they had lost a little bit of contact, and then he said he set up through whatever kind of record executive that she's gonna have a person to protect her or something, a representative, a chaperone or something that was gonna be there with her through whatever, and just make sure that she get on her flights or whatever and stuff like that. To me, that would have been a red flag. If in the back of my mind, if I'm thinking the whole Aaliyah thing, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking the Leah thing, then I'm thinking, as a parent, I'm thinking, okay,
It's
the Leah thing happened.
It's absurd.
Then the trial thing happened, and then my daughter gets involved, and then some weird lack of communication, or there was some kind of like weird situation that happened. That was a red flag. I feel like the parents ignored all the red flags because they're like, oh no. Like, I think they made excuses.
Because it's success.
Because of money.
And like anybody, you want to be successful, and I understand that. But it's like I think the tide is changing nowadays, which is why all these people are being outed, is because, like, yeah, but success is not at any cost.
True.
Like, the finances, I think we're realizing that people who are in these higher places, they're not necessarily the representative for what is a great person anymore. It's just somebody who's fucked up like everybody else, but they just got money and they have power. So it's a I don't know. It's changing. But, anyway, I was about to say that Rkelly. Do you think, question for you.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's just go right in.
Well, going back to his beginning, do you think that plays a huge role in,
in his behavior?
You have to
real talk.
That? Yeah.
Yes. Like, okay, this is I wasn't going to dive into this right away, but we can, because for me, like, when I was in college, part of my major was sociology. Right. So when you learn in sociology, people are because of they're product of their environment.
Exactly.
Right? So if a person grows up in a certain type of environment or experiences certain type of things, usually they become exactly the same as the environment they grew up in.
Exactly.
Or they become completely opposite.
Yeah.
That's it's like, you can go ask anybody, you can do the research. It happens. Like, you ask your people, talk to your people, ask yourself how you grew up. You probably came exactly how your parents are, your whatever environment you would grew up in, or you just became completely opposite. And you bring up a really good point, because like I guess he had wrote in a book, he addressed that he was
he said he was molested at a young age.
He was molested at a young age, and like, I do not want to ignore that. It's a very, very important thing that we all need to understand, because I mean, this is not to excuse his behavior. Everything that he did is completely wrong.
Completely.
But it's to acknowledge it. It's like put a highlighter. We're just putting a highlighter on the fact that he was sexually assaulted by an older woman when he was a young boy.
And that's what I'm saying. I just want to say...
Go ahead.
In no way, shape, or form am I making excuses for Rkelly.
Oh, no.
But I just want to attack all the angles. You know what I'm saying? Like, all angles of what has led up to how do we create a person like this, because it really speaks to a bigger issue that goes on every day.
Exactly. And that's the thing that's the reason why I kind of want to have this episode too, because I think that for communities of color, like, talking about sexual abuse, different things like, that are taboo within our community is hurting our communities. It's like we're only sick as our secrets. And I think that people need to understand that it's important to talk about things that happen that are not necessarily like right.
Well, and the thing is, you really realize once you speak it and you let it out, you realize that a lot of people go through that shit when they're children.
Right.
A lot of people, and the things is, if, like you said, if you don't speak it, first of all, you don't realize that it's going on at such a large rate. And second of all, you don't know how to really effectively deal with it and to be cognizant of, okay, how is this warping my mind as I'm growing into an adult?
True.
So now you can attack the issues,
Right. So we're going to dive into that. And I just want to say, like, and it was in 2012 in his memoir, Solar Coaster, The Diary of Me, where we already know that he said he was sexually abused as a child by an older woman for several years. And this is what he quoted. I remember it feeling weird. I remember feeling ashamed. And it says, like, a lot of fans backed Kelly during his child abuse, like, stuff. And, what I will say this is that, we do have to acknowledge this. He did get abused. To me, he became his predator. The person that preyed on him, that sexually abused him, he became the product of his environment. He became exactly the predator that preyed on him.
And it's a thing of it's a thing of control, because when you go through something like that at a young age, it strips you of your power. It takes you away of feeling like you're in control. You don't look at the world, and like they said in the documentary, it makes you grow up very quickly. Right. And you see things through a stained glass. So you kind of have to, as you grow up, you want something to be, like you said, you go for the complete opposite, the polar opposite. So he got his power taken, so now he wanted to be the one who was in control.
Right, that became the predator.
Yeah, now I want to be the one that can control these other people, that can dominate women, that can,
and
call me daddy. Like
exactly.
All of that.
And who knows if he even understands what is happening in his own head.
Yeah.
Because we're over here analyzing, we kind of understand it, but I don't even know if he even went there in his own head to even understand what really is coming from. And that's why it's important for people to go seek counseling and help.
And how old is he? What is he? 52.
52. I think he's 52 now or something like that.
And see, back in his day, nowadays, I'm thankful that the conversation has changed and you can speak freely about those things. Back in the day, it was more like, keep that shit on the quiet. Like, don't nobody want to, even when
it's still kind of like that a little bit. I mean, not as much, but it's when it becomes, I think when communities of color and the black community specifically, it's a lot. And I think we just need to, there's some stats I just kind of want to report out there. It says, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, 67% of reported sexual assault victims are under 18 years old, and 34% of all victims are younger than 12. In fact, while the national statistic for women who will experience rape in their lifetimes is 1 in every 5, for girls under 16, the number is 1 in every 4. Woo, that's a lot. 1 in 4? And it's just crazy. And the thing is, a lot of times people don't talk about when it comes to boys too. I had a statistic too. Oh, it says, and there's the statistics are startling when it comes to boys. It says 1 in 6 boys have suffered from sexual abuse. And listen, it's happening regardless if we want to admit it, acknowledge it, deal with it or not. It's happening. And obviously, by us not dealing with it, by us not acknowledging
we create the monsters. We recreate them.
Exactly. And we're not fixing the problem. I mean, nothing's ever going to be perfect. But at least there can be, at least we can make people in our community, children specifically, feel okay enough to tell on their relatives, to tell on their uncles, to not feel ashamed about it, because it's not their fault. And we should not make them feel like it's their fault if they get sexually abused.
And yes, it's hella awkward. It's hella awkward.
Right.
There's no way around the fact that it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be awkward to speak on this. It's going to be something like you've never done before.
Right.
But we have to delete that stigma of feeling like you can't. When you see a change in somebody, especially in a child, you know when a child has changed. You can see those things if you're paying attention. Now, I would say 75%. 25%, sometimes you don't see the change.
Right.
But you can, usually with children, in young children, you can tell the change in their personality when something like that is going on.
Yes.
And you have to be able to figure out exactly what it is. You have to be able to create that space where your child feels comfortable enough. Because I know, especially in the black community, a lot of people, a lot of parents, they're so caught in the day-to-day of trying to survive, trying to be in survival mode, to take care, to provide, that often what's going on with the child emotionally is missed.
Right.
Because you don't have time to focus on that. You tired, you working, you got to come home, you got to get it together, you got to cook, you got to do all this stuff after you don't work your 9 to 5, and then you get your kids in the bed and you got to touch down. But you have to pay attention to those things as well. There's signs that are always there.
Right.
And a child especially, they're not going to come out and, some kids will, Right. But a lot of kids are not going to come out and share something like that with you, but you can tell in their behavior that something is going on. You'll see a change in them.
Yes, and that's like an important fact. And I think that, you know, a part of parents needing to pay more attention, because I agree that is like a big deal, is also not... it was this article on ebony.com written by Jazzy Keys. She's a clinical psychologist, poetess, and nationally certified life purpose and career coach. And she wrote an article called Breaking the Silence on Child Sexual Abuse. And like, she pointed out some really important things, and I think like it's just beautifully said. So I'm just gonna read like this excerpt from it. It says like, our cultural emphasis on family secrecy, a long history of mistrust in the justice system, and the fear of tainting our family name has all contributed to the silent code we have established pertaining to sexual abuse.
100%.
Right. And then she said, this refusal to break the code of silence that blankets this issue has created a callous-ridden layer of hurt on top of a painful scar.
Exactly.
The unspoken commitment to the denial of sexual abuse is the very reason intrafamiliar sexual abuse is savagely destroying the innocence of our children. Until we are willing to shatter the code of silence, we will continue to reinforce the false truths about sexual abuse. And this is my point about you're only as sick as your secrets.
You are.
Point blank, period. And the problem is, too, is that if a child is going to, if your child is coming to you, and you, of course, it's a very painful thing to hear a child tell you as a parent that they were sexually assaulted, especially if it's by a family member.
Yeah.
But you, parents, please, don't make your child feel bad. Don't you feel guilty and feel like, oh, you need to protect your family member. No. Y'all motherfuckers need to protect your children.
Yeah.
And listen to them.
And
you know what I mean?
And realistically, even if you haven't, because a lot of people I know right now, there's a lot of people who've gone through it and you haven't. It's too late, essentially, to tell your parents. It's too late. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, look, you're grown, but what you can take from this is like, you have to acknowledge that it may have deviated you, and it may have it from, you know, seeing things with a clear mind. It may have, there are effects that it has to. And I know a lot of people don't like to say, oh, well, I don't have, ain't nothing affecting me, I'm fine. But like,
no,
there are things.
That's lies.
Yeah, there are things when something like that happens, especially at a young age.
Right.
There are side effects of that behavior. There are things that you're exposed to that you're not supposed to be exposed to. So even if you're past the age of telling your parents, get help in any way that you can get help. Even if that's you talking to somebody else, or if that's you figuring out where, you know, being aware of what you carry with yourself as an adult now because of that happening.
Right.
Acknowledge it.
Exactly. And it's very true. And, you know, to continue what Jazzy Keys said on ebony.com, she says sexual victimization during the victim's formative years drastically increases the likelihood for abuse to occur in adulthood. Childhood sexual abuse disrupts healthy emotional growth of a child.
It does.
It can shape, just like Jay's saying right now, it's like, hello, she's a psychologist. Yeah. So, I mean, Jay's a smart motherfucker. I'm a smart motherfucker, but y'all don't, if you don't even want to believe us,
believe her.
Believe the psychologist. I'm just telling y'all. This is just to reiterate the fact that we bringing facts here, okay? So anyway, back to what I'm saying. She said it can shape a child's understanding of love and sex in a way that causes them to associate intimate relationships with pain and cruelty.
Yes.
Let's pause for a second. If we insert Rkelly, I'm not okaying what he's doing. Not at all. But we have to address the issue in our community of color.
Because fuck Rkelly. It's not about him. It's about us being able to heal and move on from all of this, because this is not the only case of this shit going on.
Exactly.
It's not at all.
Exactly. Everybody knows there's a whole bunch of Rkellys in your neighborhood.
He's just a representative of it because he's the one that got the fame and the money. That's it.
Right. We're taking this particular Rkelly situation and addressing a broader issue that problems within our community.
Exactly.
And this is it. It is it. People, like, for reals.
This shit goes on all the time.
Right. And that's the problem. Because he did not feel he can talk about it, or he didn't get help, whatever the case may be, he became a predator.
And at some point
because he was preyed on. That's crazy. He was sexually abused as a child. No wonder he's a predator.
Exactly. And
it's not like rocket scientist. Sorry. Rocket science. He's not a scientist. I'm not a scientist, obviously.
But at some point in time, and realize, at some point in time, as an adult, if you don't want to undress your shit and figure out exactly what's going on, you will be held accountable now. It's no longer... You move from the place of a victim into the place of now you are the predator. Just like you're saying.
Exactly.
Like, you no longer get... Because you know when something is wrong.
Exactly. So, I agree, because now they're trying to bring charges. The Cooks County is asking the victims to come.
As they should, because he's no longer a victim. You have to acknowledge when something is wrong. Acknowledge when it happened, and he can, he knows something was wrong, like you said in the book. I don't know the chapter, I don't know but you said he acknowledged that it didn't feel right.
Right.
And those things, once you know those things, and everybody's process is different. It takes people sometimes it takes you 20 years to uncover your shit. It takes you 30 years, whatever it takes you. But once you know what fucked you up, it is now your responsibility as the adult to go seek help and to stop doing whatever behavior that you're doing.
Exactly.
That's causing damage to other people, because now you're just passing that shit on to other people.
You're not just hurting inside yourself.
You're
projecting it on.
Exactly.
And hurting other people. Yeah. And this is what the Jazzy Key said, and this will be my last thing from her, but it's just the article was so good. If you guys go look it up, it's still on.
I need to read it.
It's so good. It's so good. It's on ebony.com, and the article it's called "Breaking the Silence on Child Sexual Abuse." And she said the lack of psychological, I can't even talk.
Psychological,
listen,
we got it.
Listen, I had a couple drinks. Okay.
The lack of psychological.
Psychological.
There we go. I said it for you.
No, I forgot the way to say it already.
The lack of psychological. You want me to read that?
Psychological.
Where's it at? Where's the
I said the lack of psychological support surrounding abuse prevents a child from being able to redefine their understanding of sex and love, making them increasingly more susceptible to future abuse.
Exactly.
So, and this is why this episode for me is so important, is because I know how painful something could be that you go through as a child and you don't deal with it, and it affects you in your adult life.
Oh, can we speak to that? Can we speak on it? If we're comfortable, we're going to speak on it. We're going to open it up and speak about it. Let's speak on it.
Yes, and it's just it could be, it's so many things. It could be something that, it could be, I don't even know. It could just be so many things.
I mean, well, it goes on. I'll say that. I don't, without getting into too much detail, it goes.
Right. I would say this is that for me, I'll speak on my personal experience. There was, let's just say there was a friend that I had that awakened my sexual appetite, I guess, at a young age, because she saw her older brother engaging in
an activity. Of course,
and so she in turn tried to do those activities on me.
Exactly.
And I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, what are you doing? Hold up.
But it exposed you to something that your mind wasn't even grasping at that
right
age.
I wasn't even on that.
Yeah.
And it was just weird. And then so, I mean, late in life, like, you know, this is kind of deep, but late in life, you kind of like realize what things may subconsciously turn you on, and you don't even know. Then you look back and you're just like,
no, I got you 100%.
Like, oh, that's strange. And because, okay, what I will say is that she awakened this thing in me, which I really wasn't. I'm like, at the time I didn't know, like, female, not female, hetero, whatever. I didn't care. I just like, because if I would have started, like, let's say, touching myself at that age, I probably would have been like, oh, that feels good.
Yeah.
Right, because it would have been anything. It could have been anything.
Yeah. And
so the weird thing is I'm getting kind of personal, but the weird thing is that after that, she awakened that particular thing, then I kept chasing that feeling after that.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird.
Well, no, I get you 100%.
Like, you don't have to say anything, but I'm just saying that kind of like awakened, and I was kind of like chasing that feeling. Not necessarily from another person. It could just have been like an object. It should just been like a pillow. It could have been just like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it just awakened something in me,
Lord, not the
like
pillow.
Prematurely.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to make a joke of it with the pillow. That was a real one there.
I'm just saying, like, maybe somebody can relate. I don't know. I'm just being real, okay? That's just how it is on my show. I'm being real.
Well, I mean,
So anyway, I'm just saying, like, so it awakened something in me prematurely when I wasn't even thinking on that level as a young person.
Well, because the truth is, it does happen, and I will say that because I know we all see. That's what I'm saying. Just like this conversation right now is enough to be like, okay, we all go through the same
something,
shit.
yeah.
Because the same shit happened when I was in my age, and from my 8 up until a certain age,
and it awakens you, and you're just, you're curious,
and and I know with my personal experience, I know that's why I like to be the more recessive one in relationships. Like, I like to be the one that's not the dominant, because it was from somebody who was older than me. So now in my adult life, I also go after that same thing where somebody else is more dominant,
or even the older person.
Yeah, and they're the one that's more in control. I like somebody who's more in control, who takes the charge, because that's my first experience that I had.
Right, and it feels comfortable.
That's what I'm used to. I'm like, I'm used to somebody else being the one. Okay, look, we're gonna do it. Okay, all right, yeah.
And that's the thing. At least
be conscious of it. Know exactly.
We're able to talk about it and don't feel bad. Like, I'm saying, like, I mean, I just told the weirdest story. Okay, guys.
There is no stigma to it.
There should be no stigma.
There's no stigma to it. Right, it happens. It goes on.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody should feel like stigma about anything.
I did a whole video on the shit. I did a whole video talking about it, and and the truth is, and I did that because everybody needs to know. Right. Not from my point of view, but everybody needs to know that these things happen.
Right.
These things go on.
You're not alone.
You're not, and it's like you have to. If we can all get over, because a lot of people of color, look. We try to. I know it's hard because we have to live every day to day acting like ain't shit wrong with us.
With a front.
You got to be able to take it and keep it moving and keep it rolling. But like, these are issues and these are things that go on in our community. And you have to be able to just be like, no, look, if something ain't right, it's not right. If something went on, it went on, and that's what it is. And with Rkelly, like what is it? His brother said, he tried to tell his brother, and his brother was like dismissive of him.
Right, like, and that's the crazy thing is because I believe his younger brother?
He said it was his older brother who also went through the same thing. Right. And he's like, well, his older brother was like, nah, that didn't happen. And that's the thing, we have to, like, when these...
Believe people when they tell you things.
Because this shit goes on, it's uncles, it's aunties, it's family friends, it's... The old guy down the street.
It's like, it could be your kid's just friend. Like, with me, it was just something so stupid. Yeah. Like, it was my friend, like one of my best friends. And, like, she was prematurely exposed to, seeing her brother, who happened to be a teenager at the time. And she didn't know what the hell was going on. She's young and didn't know how to process this thing. And that's what you do with your friends. I'm her friend, so she thought that's what the fuck you do with your friends. Like, and it was innocent. And, like, I have no feelings about that. It does not, because I'm comfortable with my sexuality. Same. So it is what it is. Yeah. So, like, that's the one thing I want people to know too. Like, don't let whatever happened to you in your childhood you know, during like your formative years necessarily make you feel like you have to be a certain type of way because of what you went through. No, just be who
just
you
address
are.
It. Exactly, and
just
accept it.
Right, acknowledge that it happened. Mm-hmm. Be okay with it. It is what it is, and just know that that's just who you are. It's just a part of who you are. It shouldn't like necessarily define you.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't define
it's just,
you.
And a lot of times you'd be surprised. Like a lot of people go through different things, and that's the thing too. Like I think like there's a lot of stigma when it comes to sexuality. Like, and like that's why I said it's a spectrum. Like, you know, on one side of the spectrum is like homosexuality and the other side is heterosexuality. And we all fall along this big old spectrum, and nobody is made up of just, oh, I'm completely 100% hetero, I'm completely 100% homo.
Please.
Whatever. Like, it's get over that. Everybody get over that stupid label. Just be who you are. Do not worry about this stupid stigma. Do not worry about stigmas. Stigmas of being sexually abused, stigmas of your sexuality, what you're into. Just love yourself and try to heal from painful experiences. That's all I can say.
And believe people when they tell you something. And a lot of people touched on it. And I saw on Twitter, a lot of people were commenting on the fact of, do we not believe? Are we a little bit more or less susceptible to believing black women when they are saying something about
God, you're talking about J. Cole. You know, and I love J. Cole.
Well, Chance the Rapper said it too.
Oh, wait. Whoops. I'm sorry, J. Cole. I love J. Cole. Sorry,
J. Cole.
My bad. It wasn't J. Cole. It was Chance the Rapper. My bad. Sorry, J. Cole. It was Chance the Rapper.
Mm-hmm. What you think about that? How do you feel about that?
You know what? Okay. Listen, as a black woman, before I started moving my neck, snapping my fingers, smacking and stuff, I felt sad. I was like,
sad
damn.
What? I need you to explain it.
Okay, I felt sad because I was like, damn, he's a black man. Okay, it was like I was sad and happy too. Cause, okay, I will tell you, sad because that's how he really fucking felt. That he did not believe initially because it was coming from, he didn't believe what was it? He said, I didn't believe the accusers. No, let me say it. He said, I didn't value the accusers because they were black.
Yeah.
And the wording too, fucked with me. Well, he said value. And that's a big deal because, like, a lot of times, like, black women feel, not necessarily me all the time, sometimes, but I've seen it on Instagram, I've seen it on social media where black women feel like black women don't matter. Like, nobody cares about black women. And that kind of, like, that statement right there kind of, like, pushed that narrative forward and validated that, because it was like, how can you say that you don't value black women when it was like your mom is a black woman?
Well, we know
and I was
all that.
so confused.
Thank you, Kanye.
But I mean, I was so confused and sad about that. At the same time, I was happy that he was being real.
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely there's two parts to that, right? So the first part is, do we not value women of color? We take their voice a little bit less significantly. We take black women's voice a little bit less significantly. But then at the same time, there's the other side of, are we very quick to believe celebrities? Because a celebrity is saying something, we automatically go to you're just trying to get paid. This person just trying to get paid. That's why they're saying that about them. It doesn't matter who it is. It's like, you just trying to get paid. And then you throw the fact that it is a black woman making these accusations on top of that, then it drags it down even more, because in society we already know to be a black woman in America, you are like at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah,
you're at the bottom
and
of the barrel.
it's so sad. And I'm so sad. I feel sad because of it. Like, come on. I just like, how can black women change that narrative? Because, like, I mean, we feel like I feel strong. I feel like a strong, proud Black woman. Mm-hmm. You know,
as you should.
Right, but you know, and like what Chance said didn't like change how I feel about being a Black woman. It just made me feel like, dang, brothers, do y'all really not have our backs like that?
I per se will say, I don't agree that we don't have Black women's back like that. I don't have that issue. Mm-hmm. If you say something to me, I'm gonna believe what you're saying. But right. I will say there is a stigma in a sense of there is a select few. There's a huge group of Black men who would disagree, and it's from a place of personal experience. Whatever situation, because we're not. You have to stay in the middle, kind of like. Okay, right. There are some people who lie.
Right. Well, true.
And you have to believe. Right now, it's like you have to kind of be able to believe the truth. All I believe is the truth, and the truth is going to come out. But like, and you can't give somebody a bigger yes because of who they are, and you can't give somebody a quicker no because of who they are. You kind of have to be able to stay in the middle and not waver until you get the actual truth. If the facts are stacking up against somebody, right, the facts are stacking up regardless of who they are.
Right. So, right. And I just, you know, I kind of want to just ask you, like, why, just from like the Black man's perspective, why do you think he said that? Just because of his own personal experience and that's it?
Well, I think he was trying to shed light on the fact that we don't necessarily value. Now, I don't know if that's... I think he was saying that because that's his perspective, per se, that he doesn't think that the voice is valued as much. Do you feel as if, like, you were to tell think of Black men that you know, do you feel like they wouldn't believe you?
No, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. You know, well, listen, the Black men in my life, whether they're friends, lovers, whatever, like, I don't got no fuck shit around me. So,
exactly. Right. And that's exactly what it is.
It's like, so my circle, like, I kind of keep real niggas or real dudes.
Thank you.
Around me. So, like, anybody that if I was to tell you, for example, that somebody did this to me, like, blah, 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 you would believe me. You wouldn't even question me. But, you know, for him, like, he obviously felt like some type of way.
And that's the
either, like, from a past experience.
Well, you hit it right on the head, though. I think you attacked it the right way. Like you said, you don't keep no fuck people around you. And that's the way it is, because you have to be able to read. And, you done went into a whole nother damn category.
I know, I'm sorry, I know.
You have to be able to read the energies that are around you and the vibes that you're getting from people. If people stand with you, they do. If they don't, they don't. And that has nothing to do with
necessarily color.
It has nothing to do with that. Right. You have to be able to decipher as a person, who am I keeping around me? Mm-hmm. Who are the people that are around me? And I get that you may not have control over that sometimes if a woman is in a situation where she can't help who's around her and she wants to be able to tell somebody and they dismiss her. Well, keep telling until because you're going to stumble across somebody who's going to listen, who's going to be like, oh, okay, I believe you. Right. If it's the truth, you know what I'm saying? Right. And it's like, I don't necessarily, I mean, I know I brought the shit up, but I don't know if I now, because you're making me think about it differently, I don't know if I really agree with what he said. Because I feel like there are a lot of Black men who stand up for Black women. There are a lot of, within cultures, and a lot of times Black women are a lot stronger than Black men, to be honest. And it's like,
we're the backbone.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know if I think we do value Black women's opinion. I think in this point,
I think honestly, sorry to cut you off, I think you value Black women. I don't think every Black man values Black women, which is sad, and I'll have to figure that out. But I still don't understand. I really need to, like... But
we're not talking no shit like, oh, like, I don't value you because you a hoe, like, you do, like, you like, you know, oh, you cheated on me. We talking about real shit like rape.
Right.
Like, on the real...
That's what I'm saying.
Do we really think that, like, Black men don't value... If a Black woman comes to them and is like, yo, this guy did X, do we really think that, like...
I think maybe you're right. To go back to the point that you made, maybe it's just about the celebrity thing. Maybe that's the celebrity factor.
Yeah, like
where he's coming from. Maybe that's it. But that's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me. Like, I don't necessarily agree with what he says, but I can kind of understand if he's coming from the perspective of being a celebrity, which he is.
It's an abuse of power.
Or just that he may know some things or saw some things behind the scenes or being a part of, like, the industry that, like, people tend to lie, be conniving to kind of get something from somebody because they have money, like extort them for money.
Well, if you're my employer and I know you're doing some fuck shit and I want to keep my job and I want to keep getting these checks, like the backup singer, I'm sorry, okay, I'm not coming for her at all, but the backup singer, so much emotion evoked, and I don't know her, so I'm not mindful. I'm not. If I say some ignorant shit, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know all these people's background. Yeah. But, like, the background singer, she knew a lot of things that were going on, and it's like
she
was shedding tears and all that stuff. But, you know, in the middle of me watching, because I felt her a lot. Like, she's somebody that stood out to me, the backup singer, because she was through all of the series, like talking, and she had the emotion, she had everything. But it's like, at some point in time, weren't you getting paid? So did you keep your mouth quiet? Like, when she's like, I opened up the thing and I saw Aaliyah and him having sex.
Right. You know, like this is an almost 30-year-old man at the time.
And I'm like,
with a 15-year-old.
If I saw a fucking 30-year-old having sex with a 15-year-old girl, I don't care who you are. You could be I don't care if you're my boss. Like, I don't care who the fuck. I don't care if you're getting them checks. Like, hell no. That's some nasty shit. Like, I'm not about to be like,
if anything, I would be calling Aaliyah's uncle.
Yeah, like, I know this is wrong, but
I'll be like, look, this is what's happening. I don't want to be saying nothing, but I would drop a motherfucking dime.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna try. Like, no, this shit ain't right. This ain't right. Like, and it's good that this documentary came out because it's showing people, like,
what not to do.
And I do like the way that they did that. Like, they showed, they had people tell their experience, they had people tell their stories, but they didn't side with them.
Right.
Like, even with the brother, when he said, well, you know, some people like this, some people got a preference, some people, and my brother just tends to like young women. It's like, they really,
his ass was so crazy. He said some crazy shit.
They let people comment, but they didn't like.
Oh yeah, he said you have people who have fantasies about different things. Mm-hmm. He's like, I like older women. Go figure, you know. But that's just a preference. Everyone has preferences. So what is the big deal? What is the big issue with my brother?
And it shows... Me
and my brothers, we have our ways with our girls.
It shows so many issues across the board. With all
their family has some shit.
The only person I could really fuck with 100% in that documentary, 100%, Sparkle.
Right.
She was the main one that I'm not going to say the only, but she was the main one that was like, no, I don't care. I will forego my career. I'll forego all of this shit.
She did.
Because it ain't right.
That,
we didn't
hear nothing from her. It was no glimmer. It was no shine. It was nothing. It was not like a glow.
It wasn't even a...
It wasn't a glitz.
No sparkle, no nothing. It was like, I'm done.
Yeah, it was dim.
She's the only person that I was really like, yeah, like, she did everything in her power. She forego, because she knew the shit was not right. Everybody else got the around the way story, like, well, I saw it, I knew. The teacher at the school was like, well, I told him maybe you shouldn't be. Like, everybody's seen all these things. And then us as a whole, as people who were supporting R. Kelly, everybody R. Kelly fans, we heard it. We're all guilty for that shit because it's like, well, he's successful. And I had to correct myself because I said the shit. It was trash. I said it 2 weeks ago. When I heard the documentary was coming out, I was like, oh, he made good music. You can't deny he's a successful artist. So you can't deny he makes good music. And it's like, true, that's true. Right. But at the end of the day, if you want some fuck shit, you want some fuck shit.
Right. And, like, exactly. Of course, nobody's going to deny he's a musical genius. He has some of my favorite songs, which is really sad because now it's like, it's all tarnished. You can't listen
to it with the same mindset.
Yeah, it's all tarnished because of all this stuff. Because it's like, even now, like, you know, if he's not even dealing with, like, young girls, whatever, anymore, like, the fact that has this alleged sex cult and, like, keeping girls hostage and, like, all this stuff and, like, peeing in buckets and, like,
the signs have been there. They all been there. Everything has been there. We all are guilty because we all know. And I was born 95. I remember hearing the shit as a kid. I remember Dave Chappelle, I'm gonna piss on you. I remember all of that stuff. Like, and like, it was literally just laughs. It was never like, oh,
right,
well,
everybody was making fun of it, but it was real talk.
Yeah, it was like, no, this shit was really going on. So it's kind of like now that it takes a documentary in 2019 to come out and to put this out and be like, oh, this is serious. It's like, why is that even, the fact that even has to be stated now is kind of like, well, duh, ain't we all kind of a little like late?
Yeah, I mean, I think like what happened is kind of like people, it was easy for people to go ahead and just move on from it because he was acquitted. Not necessarily, because a lot of times people get acquitted and they still committed the crime.
That's true. That's true.
But I think like for his fans and for, you know, the music industry, all the people in his team,
he making money.
Right, they was making money. It was easy just to like, let's just like move on from it. Don't even like
dodge that bullet shit.
Exactly. Let's just keep it pushing. He never got convicted, so let's just go forward. And it's sad. It was really sad that, you know, that's what got me. His team around him didn't say anything.
What you think about the wife?
Oh,
what you think about her?
I mean, listen, it's, you know, he did a hell of a job. If she didn't know none of this was happening,
that's what I was saying.
Like he must have did a hell of a job.
What the hell?
Keeping everything like from her, like she didn't know nothing. But you know, it's kind of, I don't know. I'm not gonna put that out there because, you know, I don't know. You know, I guess if you're like,
you don't really know until you in it. We all just speaking. We all just looking at it and being
we're speculating at this point. But you would think if you are married to this man that somebody somewhere called you up and said, girl, your husband is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Now I feel like it's only right that we go in on Rkelly because we ain't gone in on Rkelly yet. You feel like we gone in on him yet?
No,
I think we got to go in on him for some nasty shit. He nasty.
Of course, he's a predator, guys. Point blank, period. If you got nothing from this documentary, he's a predator.
Too many facts. Too many people. I'm sorry, like too much people.
He has some serious mental health issues, and he has some serious childhood trauma that he needs to deal with.
And when you got that power, when you got that money, it shows that you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And he ain't even got money like that. I mean, so imagine. Why are we holding?
You know, I'm just like, I kind of probably stepped in the name of love for the last time.
I know.
I'm just saying.
That was the go-to motto for all the family functions.
I know. We ain't gonna step no more with nobody. I'm gonna do the wobble.
Round and round. I ain't doing no round and round. Nope. All of that.
Yeah.
But you know, everything that's coming to him, he got coming.
Exactly.
He got coming, and there's more people. Rkelly is just a what is it? He just a. I'm trying to think of the word, like a representation. He just a what's the word? He's just a catalyst
for all of this.
Thank you.
For all this, you know,
that's been going on.
Right.
He's just the front guy. All of this shit is going on. All of this been happening. It goes on in the community. Like,
it's terrible.
Nothing is new.
And like the crazy thing is that, you know, I'm just gonna say this. He says that sources close. This is reported from TMZ. Rkelly's sources close to Rkelly says that the singer is disgusted by the series.
I would be too.
Which makes shocking allegations against him, including sex with various underage girls, physical abuse, and mind control.
Bro, it's in the pudding. Ain't no way you about to tell me.
Yeah.
You ain't write no song about no age, ain't nothing but a number, and you ain't doing that shit. Like, you're not about to say none of that.
He is guilty as charged.
Come on now.
Like, or it's not charged in this case. I'm sorry. Let's be real. Like, he was not charged. Well, he need to get charged. And all those people that was in his team just, like, standing by watching this shit, y'all just as guilty. And y'all got problems too, because like if you guys had any ounce of self-respect for your own self, any love for like Black women, they would have like spoke out. You know, I'm glad they speaking out now, but it's like after the fact. You know, so many people.
Sparkle. Shout out to Sparkle.
Right. She let her
whole career go.
Right, and it was crazy because it was her niece that was a part of that tape.
But see, that's what I don't understand either. Why? Didn't she say she already knew stuff was going on? Like something went right with him.
I can't remember.
And then she said she brought her to the studio. But you know what? No, I can't even put that off on her because she said she came in that day and like her niece was there. So this motherfucker had already reached out after she brought her to the studio that one time. See, that's crazy. That's how you know it. Like she said at the end, it's a whole team. There's no way one person can move like that. It's multiple people. It's terrible.
And it's just crazy. Like, you know that money is the root of all evil. Like, real talk. Like, and I believe like if Sparkle's niece, who was a girl that was the alleged girl in the videotape for his 2008 trial, if her parents weren't connected with Rkelly and his music and producing stuff for him, because that came out in the documentary too, I think they would have testified in the trial. And if they were just if they didn't worry about no money and all that bullshit, he would have been convicted. He would have been convicted.
You never really know either, because I found that a little strange with the way like none of the family would say anything. They wouldn't even say.
Because I think they were paid off.
The girl.
I feel like they were paid off. Yep.
What you think?
Yep. And then there was like brought up in the actual documentary where they showed that her parents got some credits on producing some music on some of his tracks. It's crazy. But yeah, so
realistically. Never mind.
No, go ahead. No, talk about it. This shit is exhausting. Talking about this shit. I hate it's like so fucking sad and pitiful, but
would you?
Would I what?
I feel like we gotta ask this question. Because I can't even. I'm not saying I know. Well, I mean, it's a realistic question. If you living in a world of poverty, and these things are going on,
right,
and somebody who has got money is about to give you something
to take you out of poverty,
and they know they did some fuck shit to your child, and they're like, "I'll pay you."
Wow.
A lot of us like to say on tape.
Well, I mean, I won't know exactly what I would do, but it just depends if I was. How desperate I was, but I can't really say completely honestly if it was my child.
I'd be like, no.
I don't think I could take the money.
No.
I mean, you know what I would do? I would sue the fuck out of you.
But there's a lot of people.
And I would get the money another way.
Exactly.
With damages. And
would that still make it better?
No, but I would get you somehow. Like, I'm not gonna take your money.
And see, we not no desperate people, but imagine people. I mean, I'm not making bank, but you know what I'm saying. But like, imagine people who are living in poverty, who, if that shit was to happen, just when you think from it from a cynical view, like that is shit that goes on all the time, where you have to be like, well, if I'm famous, that's how famous people, people with money, not even famous people, that's just how people with money can get whatever they want to get. Because if I know you living in poverty, look, I'll give you $250,000 to shut the fuck up.
Right.
$250,000 to somebody who is struggling the day to day.
That makes less. Exactly. That's like a lot of money.
$250? Sure.
Right.
Okay, fine. I won't say a word.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I am a little bit, because it's like,
that's not even their fault. That's just the system.
It's terrible.
It's capitalism.
It's just terrible.
Capitalism.
All I know is that you know, for me, like, the whole takeaway is that Rkelly is sick individual. He's a predator. And he's a predator because he was preyed upon as a child. Never really got any help dealing with that. And as a result, preyed on, like, innocent, young Black women. And nobody really believed all the stuff that was happening or didn't think it was a big deal because it, you know, not that many people care about Black women. But one thing I do want to say is that it's interesting. It says that statistics suggest the average child molester offends 200 to 400 times before ever being caught. Having to personally reconcile with the guilt we feel knowing that our loved one is a predator keeps us paralyzed and in a state of denial. Meanwhile, the abuser is left to rape the children of the family for decades. So, this documentary showed a bigger problem where we need to stop this cycle of secrets and we need to stop the cycle of abuse. People need to be open and to talk about it and not feel ashamed or feel the stigma of talking about it. Point blank, period. I don't know, you know, what we can do to make people feel more comfortable talking about it.
Talk about it.
Just talk about it.
Talk about it. Keep talking about it.
Right.
Keep sharing your experiences. Keep, if it's happened to you, talk about it.
Right.
And you have to get to that point where you're comfortable enough. Because I can tell you right now, 2 years ago, the shit that we talked about, just with our little sharing, I would have never been able to do. But you have to be able to get to that point of self-reflection when you're diving into you and you're realizing, okay, first you got to accept there's a problem. 2, you got to acknowledge it. And then 3, you got to start to be like, okay, well, how did it deviate me? And then you realize it's not. And once you start sharing it, you realize, like, yo, that 1 in 4 for women and 1 in 6 for men is very, 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 very real.
Right. So that means that if you're a kid listening to this podcast, that means at least 1 or 2 other people in your classroom has gone through that.
Exactly. Like, and
you on a bus, at least 3 or 4 people have gone through that.
And that's how real
it is.
It is.
And how common it is.
Yeah. So never hold it in because you think you're alone, but for real, yo, you're not.
You're not alone.
You're not at all.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with you because it happened to you. And that's what it is. There's nothing wrong with you because it happened to you.
Share it.
Share it.
Share it. Speak on it. And when you speak on something, you take away the power of the control. You take away the
abuser.
Yeah, you take away of well, it's a secret and I can't tell anybody. And because you keep all you're doing with yourself is you're beating up on yourself when you hold on to something like that.
True. Real talk.
It's self-inflicted pain that you're doing.
It very much so is.
Let people know. Let everybody know. Tell everybody. Talk about it. Get it out.
Right. Let's get rid of the stigma of childhood sexual molestation, being sexually abused as a young child. Let's get rid of that stigma.
That shit goes on.
Right. And it's a very real thing. It's a problem in our community. But let it not be so much so of a problem where we can't try to overcome it and learn from this crazy Rkelly story and be better and do better as a community. So, you know, y'all, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you like this episode. Let me know what your thoughts are on this whole Rkelly thing, or let me know what your thoughts on and deal with in our in communities of color. Like, how can we do better with addressing child sexual abuse? It's a very real thing, and I think I'm done talking about that. But this has been a very interesting, crazy, therapeutic,
for real
episode. Any last thoughts, my wonderful guest co-host Jalen?
Well, no, just everything like you said. I just honestly, I can't speak on the whole Rkelly situation. I like we did, but like all I take from it is talk about it. That's my biggest thing. Like, yo, talk about whatever it is that you're going on. Have these conversations. Take, like, if something is wrong, something ain't right, like we said, talk about it. Like, get it out, let it out, this conversation enough is us talking about stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly. This is the first step.
Talk about stuff. Like, fuck R. Kelly. Fuck it all.
Yeah.
There's people out there like that. Everybody out there.
Hashtag mute R. Kelly. All right, it's your girl, Rose Shanice. It's the Rose Shanice Show. I just want to tell y'all, you're only sick as your secrets. So stop having so many secrets. Good night, y'all.